another book out. The If in Life, by the way, was a New York Times bestseller. This is a children's book. Out of Liberty, he played for the Giants. He played for the Raiders. So Dallas is a 7-point dog, 6.5-point dog with all those players against a New England team that has no ability to throw the ball over the top. What do you make of Dallas? What is Vegas saying? What do you make of what the world of football is saying there?
Well, I mean, Dallas is an interesting team. They're good. They can play. They got weapons all over the place. I don't know if this is a disrespect or a compliment, but I see them almost being a watered down version of the Kansas City Chiefs. When you look at the weapons that Kansas City has, I mean, they got them all over the place. At any moment, anytime, somebody can score a touchdown. Same thing when you look at Dallas. They got Coop. They got Cobb. They got Gallup, Speedy Gallup. He's developed it to his own. But
Gallup's not Tyreek Hill, and Dak's not Mahomes. And then at Kelsey, obviously Kelsey's in the league of his own, but when you look at Witten and what he's able to do, being consistent, that tight end you can count on is like I said, just a little bit watered down version. And by the way, Jason Garrett's not quite Andy Reid.
He's not Andy Reid, but he complements because he has Zeke Elliott. So when you have Zeke and Garrett versus Andy Reid, it kind of evens itself out. So these two teams that I feel are very similar.
You know, we said this a couple of weeks ago. You're trying to find, for years and years, last 2 or 3, we've kind of said, why can't the Cowboys win? What's the ceiling? And a lot of people said Dak was the ceiling. Clearly, Dak's not the ceiling. Dak's having a great year. He's up. He's getting better as a player, like most young quarterbacks do. Jimmy Garoppolo's better today than he was 2 years ago. Jason Garrett, to me, is the ceiling. He's and I like Jason, but he doesn't feel special. If he goes up against a Belichick Sunday, and Andy Reid, a Sean Payton, I don't think he's special. Your thoughts about how will Dak, though, handle the Foxborough, the weather, the best secondary in the league, Belichick's brain? What do you make of that matchup?
I think he's going to gobble this one up. I think he's looking forward to this one. I think this probably was dotted on his calendar when they go into town and play them. And to be very honest, I think this is going to answer all the questions. Should he be paid
$36 million?
Should he be paid to $36 million as a quarterback in the NFL? It's going to get answered, I believe, going against the best secondary, going into Foxborough, big game. And people are going to question. People are already wondering what type of team is Dallas. They've only they've beaten teams.
They're bad teams.
That are not even over 500.
Detroit.
Right. They beat Detroit. They beat Miami. They lost, though, to the Jets.
Well, I think the questions about Dallas are well-founded. I'd like to see him play a great team and win.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see him, Green Bay beats him up. New Orleans beats him. Minnesota beats him. These primetime games, that's why we criticize Kirk Cousins.
And they win the game, though.
Dak's in every game. I think Dak will play very well Sunday.
Yeah. I'm a fan of him. I hope he plays well. He's on my fantasy team, so he got to go out there and ball out.
Okay, you're a former Raider. When you were with the Raiders, if I recall, they were a little bit of a mess. They weren't. This Raider team I thought was going to be a mess. They're a different culture. Yeah. It's a different franchise from their fan base. Are you shocked by what they're doing? Right now, they wouldn't make the playoffs, but they feel like a playoff team to me.
Yeah, their spirit and morale is completely different from when I was part of the organization. They're stapled and know who their quarterback is. I really believe that Jacobs has outperformed what they thought he was going to do as a rookie. And that's enabled them to produce so much more as a team. Waller, their tight end, is outstanding. The addition of Williams has been great. I don't think they miss. Mayock is doing a good job over there of bringing in talent.
If you had to vote an executive of the year, Mike Mayock would win it.
Yeah.
Every single offensive piece is worse.
Yeah.
They got a tight end in the 5th round. Hunter Renfrow, Richie Incognito can drive people nuts, but he may be the best guard in the league. That's what PFF says.
Yeah.
So I'm shocked by it. It's funny. Gruden's old school, but players don't mind old school.
You know what? So the old school approach, I find personally, my experience in the NFL, is that players actually appreciate that. When I was with Tom Coughlin, loved him. Everybody. I sincerely, everybody enjoyed him, appreciated him. You knew what you was going to get. We knew all the clocks was 5 minutes ahead of time. Like, it's consistency. You evaluate people off what they're consistent with. And if you're old school, you know what you're getting. If you're new school, it's wavering. You don't know.
So Coughlin would bark at you, but it was endearing.
Yes. Yeah, you actually look for it. It's like, man, he ain't give me a good piss today. He might something going on. Like he ain't jumped down. You know, so you appreciate that as an athlete and as a player.
If you're the Chargers this morning, fill up 4 picks, and my theory is they're moving to a new stadium. They don't have any juice at quarterback. Tua's going to fall in the draft, and the Chargers have the pieces: 2 good running backs, 2 good pass rushers, 2 good receivers, 2 good corners. They could call up a Jets and say, we'll give you our second best corner. You give us your 5 pick. I really believe this. In Los Angeles, the Clippers don't get Kawhi. They disappear behind LeBron.
No doubt.
I mean, the USC football now is invisible. You got to go get a guy. I think Tua is the guy. I would move off Phillip. And I like Phillip, but come on. He's older. He's unathletic. Every team that's moved off old unathletic guy today is happy.
Everybody said, well, those other than the ones that had to. So you got, so who came in with Rivers, Manny, Eli, and Big Ben. Big Ben at the beginning of the year got hurt, so they had to move. I think the fans are screaming for him to come back. Maybe not.
Well, that's because you don't have a good backup. But Tua would be a legitimate star
potential in the NFL. Right. It's hit or miss, but I think you do go get a quarterback because even if he's not primed and ready, you take Hackett. What's my man over there with the Redskins?
Dwayne Haskins.
Haskins, yeah, he had to jump in a little bit premature. They didn't want him to yet, so I think it's that type of situation because Rivers could play ball. Yes, he's had 2 bad games back to back. He's questionable in certain decision making, but I like him overall. I don't think it's time for him to can it yet.
Were you one of those that was still defending Eli to the end? Because the Giants have a lot more pop with Daniel.
Yeah, so Eli, I still feel like they set him down a little bit too quick.
Man, you're patient.
Yes, I'm a patient guy, but
way more patient than me.
It was, yeah. When you look at the games and how things happen, now obviously, that's not a knock to anything that Daniel Jones been able to produce as a rookie. I think is outstanding.
So you're going to the wall for 2 more years with Phillip.
Yes, with Phillips. Yes, I'm going to the wall. I'm riding him out. He hasn't shown me enough that he is incapable of leading us to the playoffs and fighting for a championship. He hasn't shown anything that says no. There are some questionable things where you don't want to get to the point where you're ready to pull a trigger so quick because of somebody's age and because of 2 bad games.
You got to draft a quarterback, though.
I would draft a quarterback for sure. Definitely would do that. If you got an opportunity to trade and get somebody you really like, and then you got to figure out if you're going to pay Gordon, you know, what is that situation going to look like?
There's another way. That's another reason I could move to Tua. Then I could pay Gordon.
Yeah.
If I'm not paying Tua. If I draft Tua 14th, I'm not paying my quarterback anything. All right, we got to go. Rashad Jennings, great seeing you. By the way, the child's book, once again, it's called, you wrote this one, The Arcade, The Golden Travel Guide. You wrote this a while back.
Yeah, so that's the second book of this series, and 2 more, again, come out next year.
Guys, don't use your girlfriend's hair products. Get your own Dove Men Plus Care, available at Walmart. Hour 3 coming up.